Throughout the existence of professional Valorant, there has always been a set meta on what agents are most useful on a given map. And while that meta has shifted over time, most maps in Valorant have a set composition that you can expect from pro teams. Take Breeze for example, where every team at Masters 1 Reykjavik rocked the exact same team composition of Jett, Sova, KO, Viper, and Chamber, except for one single team who replaced the KO with a Sky. In this video, I'll tell you why I think the future of Valorant steps away from this stale composition meta, and why unpredictability will be the meta of the future. In order to understand why I feel this way about the future meta, we have to take a look back at some of the recent patches that have addressed agent balance. The first major step in the direction of balance was predicated on the 4.04 patch, which made major adjustments to the controllers of Valorant. Previously, it was a throw to pick any controller that wasn't Astra or Viper, but this update nerfed those agents to the point where they were no longer overpowered. Additionally, Omen and Brimstone received buffs to make them more viable in the spot of the other two controllers. Riot did a great job with this patch, as any one of the four controllers can be justified on almost every map. You'll see a trend here as we shift our focus from role to role. To start with the duelists, Jett, who was the most picked agent in all of Valorant, received a major nerf at the beginning of this act. Combine that with buffs to Yoru and Neon, and the duelist role has a lot more variability than it did in the past. Of course, Reyna and Phoenix have a long way to go, especially when you look at their pick rates in pro play, which yes, is 0%. But Riot has already confirmed that changes will be made to Phoenix, so in due time, the duelists will likely be even more balanced than they currently are. If we take a look at the Sentinels, who were once completely overshadowed by Chamber, they are in a much better spot thanks to the nerf to Chamber's trademark ability. Sacrificing one Chamber trip forces teams into a trade-off regarding the Sentinel role. Do you opt for the Sentinel with better utility and information, or the one with more weaponry to lock down your sight? The most recent changes, and arguably the most important, addressed Sova's power as an initiator. The nerf to Sova's drone, in addition to Fade's introduction to Valorant, makes Sova much less of a must-pick, opening up a lane for an either-or situation regarding the two wall hack agents that are in Valorant. Not only that, but when you think about the double initiator meta, you can theorize different ways to combine those two wall hack agents with other flashing initiators such as Breach, Sky, and KO. Next up, we're going to talk about pro teams that have had success with unusual team compositions. But before we do so, I want to remind you guys that I stream on the Purple streaming platform Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. We have a great community over there, and I look forward to seeing you there soon. Also, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure you guys subscribe and click the notification bell so you know when we post a video every single Sunday. All right, with that being said, let's jump back into the video. The unusual composition meta first started to see success at Masters 1 of 2022, where OpTiC, the winners of Masters 1 Reykjavik, had surprised teams with their pick of Neon on maps like Fracture, Haven, and even Split. But what makes their Neon selection even more unusual is that she had just an 8% pick rate across all maps in the entire tournament. Only Reyna, who was picked on one single map, Yoru, who was also picked on one single map, and Phoenix, who wasn't picked at all, had lower pick rates throughout the entire Masters 1 tournament than Neon. But what's even more fascinating about Neon's pick rate is that her pick rate would have been just as low as the other three agents that I just mentioned had OpTiC not picked her in this tournament. She was only played on one single map by any team that wasn't named OpTiC, and that was by Team Liquid on Fracture. In other words, Neon was picked 10 total times on any given map throughout this entire tournament, and 9 out of those 10 Neon selections were made by OpTiC, and just 1 by Team Liquid. Every other team in the tournament didn't select Neon one single time. And as I mentioned earlier, OpTiC went on to win Masters 1, so is it the unusual team compositions that they were rocking that led to their success? I don't think that's the only thing that went into it, but I feel like the unpredictability of their compositions definitely gave them an additional edge. More recently than Masters 1, we've seen OpTiC have even more success with these unusual team compositions, where in North America's Challengers 2 qualifiers, they broke out the team composition of Yoru, Breach, Fade, Omen, and Chamber on Ascent. And if you've been watching any sort of professional Valorant for some time, you would know that this is extremely out of the ordinary for this map. Ascent hasn't seen much of a meta shift since Sky was replaced by KO. For example, going back to Masters 1 of this year, 50% of the teams in that tournament rocked the same exact team composition of Jett, Sova, KO, Omen, and Killjoy. The remaining 6 teams typically swapped out Killjoy for Chamber and would ditch the KO to rock the famous Pittsburgh Knights comp with Sage. To go back to OpTic's composition here, 3 out of the 5 agents they selected had a 0% pick rate on Ascent during Masters 1. Those agents being Yoru, Breach, and of course Fade, who wasn't introduced to pro play at the time. So let's go ahead and dive into one of these rounds to see exactly how they made this composition work. To start this round, we can see Finesse, who's the Breach for OpTiC, stunned the entirety of A main to allow OpTiC to get control of this part of the map. In the past, we've always seen Sovas use a drone here to try to get control, but using a simple Breach stun is arguably even more effective than a Sova drone would be in this scenario. Because with the Sova drone, you can have one person break it and do a simple bait and switch, while the Jet repeaks this angle with an operator. But this Breach stun allows them to get the entire control of A main with one simple free ability. After they get control of A main, Curry, who's the defending Omen, breaks the door so that the attacking team can't close it and retain control of that. But here's where things get interesting, and you need to pay attention because there's so much that goes on here at once. To start, we have Finesse, who aftershocks the door knowing that the Omen is likely to play there, as it's very common for the defending Omen to flash into sight as the attacking team is executing. But as I mentioned, this aftershock makes it so that nobody can run through this door without taking a bunch of damage. From here on out, Victor has a Yoru teleporter lineup that lands in the front of Dice, and OpTiC combines that with a Yoru flash, Breach flash, and Fade haunt ability all at the exact same time as Victor teleports into the site. This is absolutely peak Valorant. The combination of the utility as it lands at the exact same time makes it so that the defenders have no chance, even if they were playing on site in this instance. Anybody on site would be blind from these two flashes, making it impossible to break the haunt ability. So let's say that there were enemies playing on site here, they would be revealed by the Fade haunt in the first place, making the execute super easy for OpTiC. When Victor TPs into the site, he immediately knows that the site is clear because of this Fade haunt ability, and he jumps up into heaven to get the first pick of the round, completely catching C9 Leaf off guard. As we move into the retake, there are some awesome utility from Cloud9 here. A great Sova recon combined with an Omen flash and a KO molly, but unfortunately they weren't able to capitalize off the two scans that they got on the players in Hell. And the reason they didn't spam those two players in Hell is because of Victor's Yoru flash that he sent into heaven as the two players got scanned. As the rest of this round plays out, we can see one of the Prowlers assisting in a kill here, and overall just a great hold on the site from OpTiC Gaming. When you think about this type of utility, it's simply unpredictable for Cloud9 to go again, as they've never seen 3 out of these 5 agents ever before on Ascent. OpTiC clearly did their homework in customs and scrims in order to pull this off, as they won this match 13-5. With more agents being introduced to the game, and Riot clearly having a high priority on agent balance, the future of Valorant has endless opportunities when it comes to combining utility. Do you agree with me in my predictions for the future? Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to turn on post notifications and subscribe so you don't miss the weekly video that I post every Sunday at 9 a.m. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.